Okay, okay, I'm on mute. Okay, so I'm really moved to see all of you, and I mean, some people I don't know yet, but so many of you feel so, long lost friends, and I really appreciate you being here, and I love that we share this most beautiful of paths, which is going to bring huge changes to this world, and at a time where the world really needs it. So welcome to all of you. So I'd like to introduce myself for those of you who might not know me. So I'm Marianne Hubert. I've been working with the Pathwork Lecture since 1991. So I don't remember exactly how many years that is, but they have made such a huge difference in my life. And I am so totally grateful to Eva, who just passed 2 years ago, well, 2 days ago, so many years ago. And so eternal gratitude to her service. And I'm so pleased to be a part of the work she brings. And we all bring, all of us together, we are carrying her legacy and opening to the spirit guides who are already always at our disposal to bring us more love, more light, and to remind us of who we truly are, total beings. So I had seven near-death experience between ages 3 and 18, and they gave me, of course, knowledge of what real life is like on the other side of the veil, because none of us are from here. We belong in a realm of perfection, and we come here to execute a task. And this is what was shown to me during these experiences. It felt like some kind of learning, some kind of how-to manual for life on Earth. And all my life, I was looking for something that was similar to the experiences I had on the other side of the veil, with no success for many years. So I was looking in spirituality and in psychology, but without being successful. And the time I was given the lectures through a healer of the Barbara Brennan School of Healing, everything made sense. And finally, I had found what I knew to be true from my schooling on the other side. So I feel that my life actually began with the Pathwork Lectures, as they were the confirmation of everything that I had. It's more than known. It's some kind of cellular level. At a cellular level, I was bringing this truth to Earth, but I did not find anyone who could help me with this until I found the Pathwork. So eternal gratitude to Pathwork and to the foundation to make this meeting possible today. So as many of us, I started looking outside of myself, looking for the good, for the special effects of spirituality. And I was disappointed time and time again. And it is only when when I gave up on the special effects of spirituality, thinking that I would, from then on, have to settle for a gray, uninteresting life, just the world of matter, that magical things started to happen. And actually, I found that it is through everything that is negative in my life that I could access the identity, my true identity of being already a divine being, even though parts of me do not know yet, even today, how divine I am exactly. So this is my story. But let us, before going into the actual theory of the lecture, let us harmonize all our energies around the first paragraph of this most beautiful lecture, which is lecture 216, which is the link between the incarnatory processes and the life task. My hope today is to bring you a practical approach to this lecture. So let me read a quote. You all float in a safe cloud of divine consciousness, and you are nurtured by divine love, whether you know it, feel it, and experience it or not. Your total consciousness knows it. Your fragmented consciousness does not. Try to connect with your inner being so that you will know this to be true. So let us stay in silence for a few minutes while we reflect on this phrase, connecting to our higher being, our true identity. So this is us being safe in the hands of God, with total benevolence, total love being at our disposal at every second of our lives. Of course, we need to look for this. There is an effort to be made from our conscious being. And this is what the lecture is all about. This task that we have to look for the higher expression of who we are, the higher expression that we already are. Okay, so the second image, please. So this image is comes from a vision. So maybe some of you know that I channel an entity who is very close to this work and who actually manifested for the first time while I was translating orally Pathwork Lecture, Pathwork Lecture number 1, actually, to a group of people who were already working with me. And during the meditation, this entity came through, crashed my channel in a certain way. And since then, there have been more than 444 messages that have been transmitted through my channel. So I believe it is my task to work with this entity. I brought him back in a way from my near-death experiences. So when he first manifested, he felt so familiar. And I believe that I had met him while I was on the other side of the veil. And I don't know if we should call him a he or a she, or it's a spiritual being in any case. And his task is very close to the task of the Pathwork Guide. I'm not saying that it is the Pathwork Guide. I'm not saying that he's not. I don't have the size to be able to judge this, but I do know that his teachings are bringing some kind of practical application. So since only a few days, some of the lectures are available through my website if you care to have a look. So let us go to the original lecture 216, where the guide mentions how creation is the attempt of divine reality to fill the void with life and being. This is an ongoing process. We feel it like a calling, like a pulsation in our inner being. And very often this yearning is translated by some feeling of something being amiss, something not being quite right in our lives. And there is no way that we can silence this voice, the voice that is the attempt of divine creation that we are an integral part of. We are not separate from this godliness that wants to invade the whole universes, the multiverse. If it goes beyond anything we can fathom with our human minds, to fill it with love, meaning, abundance, everything that's positive without the negative counterpart that we also experience here on earth. So we are the bringers of these diamonds of consciousness. We carry them with us, but we forgot this. We don't know it. And it is the suffering in our day-to-day lives that actually awakens us to this. But we'll go back to the personal aspect of this in another part of this presentation. So the essence, the spiritual essence that we are a part of is eternal life, eternal reality, eternal beauty, limitless wisdom and love. But our outer consciousness is looking for all that good stuff outside of ourselves, while we are actually the bringers of it. So that's where the pain comes from. And it starts with childhood, but more about that a little later. So we have the impression that we are an isolated piece of consciousness and we're floating around in space and we don't know. We see the darkness and we fear the darkness, but we forget to look at ourselves and find that we are actually those sparks of light that are filling the void with light, bringing love, bringing light, bringing consciousness. So our outer consciousness is afraid, it is groping, it is blind, but it has to seek its way back to its connection with the total self. And never before have the energies been allowing this level of consciousness to all of us, to people who are aware of their spiritual origin, but also to those who are less aware. Everything is accelerating in these new energies, the ones that are engulfing creation, engulfing the world as it is right now. And of course, the negative aspects of them that we see all around us and that we might fear are actually proof that we are now capable of taking on higher tasks. But we need to have the right attitude towards ourselves because in order to enable this. If you feel that you're just a small child and that authorities outside of yourself are doing things that are wrong, then of course you feel powerless. Now, if we remember our divine origin at any given moment, then we know that we are bringing whatever is necessary to transform what is wrong. So it is the task of every fragmented, disconnected aspect of consciousness to realize its true identity and its connection with the true self. So here in the lecture, the guide explains that it happens through an often laborious groping, searching, and attempts of the mind to expand its own narrow limitations. The mind holds this potential of expansion, for even in its disconnected state, it contains every aspect of divine reality. Of course, it depends on the direction. It depends on the intention. What do we want to prove? If we want to prove that somebody should do something about our suffering, then we are no way near the possibility to look at what we are actually bringing to make this world a better place, purifying our own negativity, the elements in us that don't know about its divine origin yet. But if you know that you are the hero, that you are the bringer of light, then you can open to, what does my higher self want? How can I contribute to this divine plan? It can be, you can call it the plan of salvation. It has different names, and it has had different names in different historical periods of man being on earth. But whatever you want to call it, the negativity is our task. The problems are what we came here for. So if you look at Greek mythology, let us take someone like Hercules. You know, Hercules, with it, the 12 works that he had to accomplish. He wouldn't be a hero if he didn't have the problems. He'd just be a good-looking hunk who hangs out in a gym if he didn't have these works to accomplish. So look at the problems in your life, the way Hercules, the mythological hero, had to bring his qualities to earth. Yes, maybe it's okay we can, thank you, Deborah. It's a good idea to no longer show the image. But I was just showing it so that you can imagine that we are that arrow. But sometimes we are the tip of the arrow before we change the image. But sometimes we identify with the spirals, and the spirals are the resistance that is created whenever we move forward into the void with each incarnation. Our divine consciousness wants to accomplish the spreading of consciousness, the spreading of light, the spreading of higher manifestations, and basically the spreading of love. But of course, when we meet the void, there is resistance, and there is an inversion that takes place. Whatever is positive first needs to be experienced as negative, since that is what we are going to have to deal with. The place we come to, Earth, is a place of duality, where everything is heavy, where everything is painful, where everything is slow, fixated, frozen in a way. And most of us, I don't know about you, but I know that when negativity happens, I regret this. I'd rather it wouldn't. My attitude is, where is my infinite swimming pool when I come to this 5-star vacation? I forget that I'm not here on Earth for a 5-star vacation. I'm coming here to change my mind about some elements in me that are still in doubt about their divine origin, to be face to face with whatever it is that needs transformation. And the good thing about this is that if I allow myself to say it's okay for me to have all this negativity, then I can accept it as being my task. If I want to, my child consciousness is going to say, I don't want to have anything to deal with this, to do with this. I should receive something better. Then, of course, I'm just going to be in a matter of resistance, in an identity of resisting a child. And as a child, I'm going to want to submit to an authority or become rebellious towards an authority. And of course, what we need to accomplish is to identify with our inner authority, because of course, we have created these life circumstances in a very ingenious and intelligent manner. What we have done is we have isolated, and the guide explains it very well in the lecture, So please read it again. I think I'd rather bring you a vision on the lecture rather than just repeating what is already said in the lecture, if you don't mind. But look at it this way: we are bringing a contribution to Earth that we are the only person who is capable of bringing. And we are doing so by becoming our true divine being. My divine being, which might be something very different than someone else's divine being. So already there, it's a reason to stop comparing yourself to others, because of course we can only see like 3 centimeters in a being who is 3 billion kilometers. So I cannot see who I am, and I cannot see who is the other person. So comparison is always useless. The child consciousness is the part of me that wants to receive the good stuff from outside. And this keeps me small, impotent, and very often in a lot of pain, resentment, an attitude of complaint, because why isn't the world giving me what it should be giving me? We forget that we are Hercules. We are the ones who are bringing the light. And in order to bring the light, we should agree with having darkness around us, because this is our task. Our child consciousness goes, I don't want to deal with this darkness. Somebody should be taking this away from me, please. Could you please stop acting in such a negative manner? So today I hope to bring you a new way of looking at things, as the negativity is actually our task. This is what we came here to develop. And this is our contribution. Very often we believe that our task is to bring something extraordinary, something magnificent, something sexy and bright, and that nobody, that's going to show us as being some kind of superhuman. Then we forget to think that it is in the day-to-day reactions, in how we feel negatively certain elements, very often based on real childhood hurts. We reprogram these situations, and this is not an accident, because if it would be, this would be really cruel, right? That as children, we are so fragile. We are so easily impacted. We are offered in a way. There's nothing we cannot decide. We cannot, how should our parents behave? How should the society, how should our teachers behave with us? We have no say about this. So we're fresh and innocent, and yet systematically we are being hurt. We are being broken. We are being frustrated. We are being put in negative circumstances. So this would be a cruel universe, right? If it didn't have meaning. So that is why we know that our childhood hurts are actually the meaning. We are the ones who have created all the details of our incarnation. For each incarnation, the guide explains that an incarnation is just like the blinking of an eye. And there's so many incarnations. Of course, if we identify with just being a small human being, and that this is all there is to me, then of course this is a life of suffering, and a life of, not getting on with stuff. But that's not how it is. Every single thought, every single feeling that we have, if we are able to be on good terms with who we are, we can use it. We can use the slightest frustration to change our mind about something, because we are the bringers of light. We are not here as people on a vacation, on a 5-star vacation. We are part of the construction team. And so we are the ones building the swimming pool so that others may enjoy a better vacation once we have left when we return to our true home, where everything is already hunky-dory, everything is perfect. We have access to the most beautiful realms of consciousness. We come from those realms of consciousness. So the minute calculations that go into creating a life on Earth, the guide explains in the lecture that there's a special world with highly specialized, highly evolved spirit beings who help us in when we are identified as our total being. Once again, we think about how is it going together. We design the circumstances of our life. We design where we're going to be born. We design, are we going to be born in a female or male body? Are we going to have what is going to be the color of our skin? What is going to be our social environment? Every single detail is prepared in order to bring us face to face with what needs transforming. So could we just be proud of ourselves? Let's look at all the complications in your life. And if you feel that, yes, my life is a bit complicated, well, you can be proud of yourself because you have created a full experience on Earth, because you knew what you were doing. You knew what you came here for. And that is the beauty of life on Earth. That is the beautiful struggle, the beautiful problems, which are like the works of Hercules. Now, of course, religion has had something to do with this. Whether your Judeo-Christian religions have made us feel that somehow there is something wrong with us. Somehow we are exiled here on earth because we are here to suffer, because there's something wrong with us. So there's some kind of punishment, the feeling of punishment, the feeling of not being good enough that is attached to being on a path such as this. And that is why maybe not so many people are eager to go on this path, because it feels like we have to be face to face with the part of us that feels, well, if your parents didn't love you enough, if you didn't get what you needed when you were a child, it's because there's something wrong with you. You were not a good enough child. You were not pleasant enough to the people who were supposed to care for you. So this vague impression that we have as a child, it has been confirmed by the mainstream religions. And of course, this attitude had value at that time. But I think we are now ready for a different version, for a version which is that there is nothing wrong with us, because if we're going to clean up the dirt, we need to be equipped for it. So I'm not going to be like there shouldn't be any dirt. No, I'm the dirt police. I am the person who comes to transform it all. So I have power. I am aligned on my spiritual self, which is limitless in its capabilities, and I can bring better, something better. Of course, my first tendency is going to be I want to show what's wrong with the other person. And of course, we all go through that. But when we understand that the other person is actually just a mirror of a part of me that I need to deal with, then I can actually start doing the work without suffering.
Marianne, if you could go just a little slower for the translators.
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought I was speaking slowly, but I guess c'est vrai.
Je pensais aussi, j'allais peut-être le dire.
Okay, no, it's fine. Fabienne agrees. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm going to. Tu me fais signe, okay? Fabienne has as a task to wave her hand at me when I accelerate. And I do that. I'm sorry. Okay. So our life task is double. So basically we come to transform something of ours that needs a better alignment on spiritual law. And spiritual law, what is spiritual law? I mean, just the word law is not very pleasant, right? I mean, because it's always, you should be, you're going to be punished because you're doing something wrong. But let's just say that spiritual law is everything that's beautiful without its contrary, everything that's positive without its negative that we know here on earth. So it's like the universe has streams of consciousness which are positive until they meet some kind of obstacle. And of course, the void is that obstacle. So it is then our choice, our potential to say, what would be a little bit better than this? How could what was missing? And in the meditation that I'm going to take you through a little later, you're going to be able to ask yourself this: what was actually missing? And how can I deal with whatever was missing? So the double element of our life task is, on the one hand, we are transforming what is negative, what is blind, and it's always a worse version than the real truth. We always project this negative version outside because we believe that we don't deserve any better. So the potential is to transform our whatever is creating a problem in our lives, and also through this we bring our contribution. So life actually offers us a red thread. It's free, every day. If you practice daily review, you know that there's going to be a certain number of elements that are going to create negative emotion in you. So this negative emotion doesn't mean that there's something wrong with us. This means that we're powerful creators who are executing a task, and we're supposed to do something with the negative emotion. There's nothing wrong with the negative emotion or the negative events in our life once we understand that this is the universe telling me, hey, here you can make a difference. But of course, if we feel stuck in guilt and shame about having negative stuff happening to us, then we're not going to feel the heroes that we truly are. So let us look for the red thread. So let us talk about the meaning of negative events and crises. So can I have the next image, please, Luigi? So here we have a beautiful house, except that part of it has fallen down. So sometimes in the course of a day, we have that feeling that, oh, this didn't exactly work out the way I thought it would. So if we accept life as our communication partner, then we can actually do something with this, because this crisis, which of course isn't something we look forward to, is actually giving us an opportunity to create our life on a better basis. So basically, what life is telling us is, you created something with second-hand material. So maybe you would like to reconsider and rebuild it. So this is a symbol, of course, but it really is how life talks to us when things go wrong. Whatever is negative is actually warning us. It's actually, well, is inviting us. I wouldn't say it's warning us. There's an element of threat in the word warning. It's because we're totally free. We can deal with it now if we want to. And if we don't want to deal with it, no worries, because the universe is going to give me the same dish over and over again, with no guilt attached to it, with no hurry. We are entitled to deal with it now, or we might deal with it later, but deal with it we will. at some point, and because there's only one direction, there's only one destination, which is love, which is light. So how fast we go there really belongs to us. It's our decision, because of course our higher self cannot crash us and say, you have to make the choice of the higher self, because that would interfere with the spiritual law of free will. So let us use our free will. We did, and we were entitled to. And maybe some of us are still worried today about not having made the right choices. And this is totally useless, because we made the choices that we did make to the best of our ability when we were there at that time with what we were aware of. So there's never any reason to regret anything. The only thing we might wonder about is, what was there a lesson? Was there something that I could take out of this? Because I did learn, even though I did not make the politically correct right choice, the one that our mask self is telling us you should always be a good little girl or a good little boy. And let us remember that when we create a mask self, we are only doing it because we are hoping to receive a little bit more from a source outside of ourselves. So when we still use this perception of life, this perspective of life, as we did when we were a child, then of course this creates for authorities outside of ourselves. We are hoping them to be nice and to take into account our needs, but sometimes we have to fear that they might not be so nice and that they might make decisions which are going to be to our detriment. So it's an invitation. When things go wrong, that it's an invitation from the universe telling us, inviting us to, hey, maybe you want to change your mind. Here, you build something with secondhand material, and maybe you want to build differently. The negative experience, the negative event is always the reflection of a choice that we have made. It's the result of some kind of confusion, but in any case, a non-alignment on spiritual law. Now, of course, spiritual law is always the better bet, but sometimes we're not ready for this because we don't feel worthy of the highest expression. The guide explains in many lectures that the most difficult thing to endure isn't suffering. What is difficult to endure is pleasure, as my friend Madeline will be able to confirm here. So, let us have a look at what our correct attitude might be to whatever is negative in our lives. And Luigi, can I have the next image, please? I mean, there's quite a few young people here, but for those of us who are a little older, do you remember those? Do you remember the film? You remember we used to call it that way. It's a negative that needs to be developed if we want to have a beautiful, shining picture, right? So, of course, now in the area of, iPhones and digital images, we don't use this image so much. But please remember the principle that was there. When we come to Earth, we bring a whole bunch of qualities, talents, positive expressions. And as the guide explains in Lecture 216, of course, that is not where the task is. This is not the task. Bringing this beauty is not the task. This is your, whatever you need to do your task with, you bring the positive. So in the symbol that I'm bringing, this is the beautiful, shiny pictures. Whatever that is positive in our personality is what has already been developed, and we bring it in a beautiful, shining picture. But then we travel with low costs, let's imagine that we get on a plane, it's a low-cost plane, it's here in Europe, it could be Ryanair. I don't know in your country what low-cost airline is like, but you have to pay a lot of money if you want to bring extra luggage. So that's what happens with our incarnation too. We can bring only that many kilos, that many luggage, that quantity of luggage which is heavy. So we're clever and we bring part of it in the shape of negatives still to be developed. So this is the problems, this is the pain, this is the scarcity, this is the suffering that we bring with us in our life experience. We did not choose the figures of our parents for them to be good parents. Of course they are, and they are giving us the most they can from their whatever is possible for them. But that is not why we chose them. We choose the figures who are going to be important in our lives, so our parents, for instance, exactly for the fact that they are going to bring us suffering. Because it is in the suffering that we download our defense mechanisms to be able to not die from pain. So we develop very cleverly some defense mechanisms which allow us to survive. Can we just be proud of that we survived? We survived the pain. But now survival might not be good enough because surviving is not living. And this is what the bridge is about, going from child consciousness to divine consciousness in order to live our lives as divine human beings, which we are, of course. We're divine beings, full stop. But for the moment, part of us is incarnated in a divine human being, if we want to. Okay, so it's up to us to develop these images, to make them beautiful, shiny, so that we can leave them behind. When we go back home, we are bringing through our work on our own negativity, through the pain, through the transformation of our defense mechanisms, we are bringing something better. We are leaving something better on this planet. And I love the way the guide explains it in the lecture 216, when he mentions, that we pull back our energies into the spirit world, and then we go again, each time coming back, each time like a wave that is on the beach, leaving more and more treasures at each time we pass. And in this process, the field of love gets bigger, huger, actually more and more beautiful, more and more cohesive, more and more. This is the intention of creation, to bring love to every nook and cranny of this universe. And this is done by us being face to face with whatever is negative in our lives. So can we agree on the fact that we are the heroes and that we are not the sinners? This is an ancient version, which gave a lot of power to the people in power, the authorities. I'm not saying that this has nothing to do with the actual origin of religion. This is, the church, which is a man-made invention. And it's necessary. Any spiritual truth that you bring has to find a place to be on this planet, and it has to be created within the limits of the realm that we are currently living in, meaning that it has to deal with duality, positive, negative, good and bad, and also the slowness and the heaviness. And this is what Earth plane is made of. So that is why anything we bring to Earth is at some point going to know some kind of distortion. But we have the choice of pushing against the distortions or going inside where our true divine being lives and say, why do I need this distortion? How am I reacting to this distortion? My distortion, the other person's distortion, the distortion in society. Okay, we are experts. The truth is that we are experts. We came to Earth with some kind of expertise. And how does this expertise show up? So this is the interesting part. Experts? Okay, but in what am I an expert? Okay, so let me have the next image, please. Je parle pas trop vite.
Pour le moment, ça va.
Ok.
Ce que tu peux faire, c'est après chaque phrase, parfois faire
Arrêtez.
une pause qu'elles aient le temps de juste
Ok.
secondes.
I should take a break after each sentence. That's right. So the next image, please, Luigi. So let us have a look at this image. By the way, all the drawings are made by Pascal Pontville. It's one of the helpers here and who uses her talent to illustrate the concepts so that they would be easily recognizable. So here you have all sorts of childhood scenes from childhood. You may perhaps recognize some of them. Let's take a few minutes so that you can have a look at these childhood scenes. So when we look at our childhood, there was so much pain, so much fear, so much confusion. Here we were wanting to love our parents, being totally in love with them, admiring them. And then stuff happened that was painful. And most of the time we didn't even understand why this was happening. But since we glorified our parents, we were so in love with them, we thought, if they're having this attitude with me, which is painful to me, it must be that I deserve it, that something is wrong with me. Because when we're children, we cannot imagine that our parents are also limited. We see them as gods. That is where the first decision is, I need to become a better person. I need to change something in me. I need to let go of who I truly am, because who I truly am is just not good enough. So that is how the child gives meaning to the pain. At some point, the child says, okay, this is painful. It might kill me, but I'm going to do something about it. And it's important for the child to experience its power in the intention of not just suffering, just not. So that is why we find all sorts of solutions in order to be able to deal with the pain. Now, some examples. Let us imagine a little boy who needed a lot of individual attention. It was his true need to receive attention from his parents, but he wanted to be loved, but he felt that the love wasn't readily available because his parents were insisting on telling him, you need to work well in school. You have to get good grades. You have to become the best at whatever field that you are competing in. You have to be an excellent soccer player at team sports or whatever. You have to go for excellence. And of course, excellence is a divine quality. But in duality, when you look at the quest for excellence, there is also the shadow side of it, which is the fear is if I'm not excellent, then I might be not good enough. And that is, of course, what we're truly dealing with, the opinion that we develop about ourselves when we're little children. Of course, the parents are doing their best when they're telling the child, you should go for excellence. And then when the child comes home with some bad grades, the parents are angry, or worse, they actually cut off contact, and ignore the existence of the child. So this child who needs to feel love, because that is what we all need, has, forgotten about the love. And he says, all I need now is I know I'm not going to get love for who I am as I am. I need to become better. And when I become better, then I am going to get recognition. I'm going to be admired. I'm going to get approval for my accomplishments. So this little boy has cut himself off from the true need, his true need of just being loved the way he was, right? So what he does then is he goes for excellence and he becomes the first, he's the best in school. Of course, for some, if you want to be the best, our current system means that someone else is going to have to be the worst. So there's going to be someone in class who doesn't have his intelligence or who has intelligence in a different manner, perhaps emotional intelligence, perhaps artistic, creative intelligence. But the school system says you're only good if you get good grades. And this little boy is very soon going to be walking on heads. He's going to want to be above everyone else. But of course, I don't know if some of you were the best functioning kids in class. We are not so popular when we are the best, right? Because then, of course, it means that someone else needs to be the worst. So the little boy hardens and says, it's okay, because what I need to go for is success. And it starts with academic success. And maybe the little boy works beautifully at school and, goes higher and higher in his academic accomplishments. And then when he grows older, he gets a job, and then the same values are what he brings into his professional life. Again, feeling better, feeling superior, knowing that he needs to be superior. He needs to have people with him who are less accomplished than he is, so that he, by contrast, he could shine. He could feel that he is the one who deserves more. Now, very often, very, quickly, this turns into some kind of insensitivity to other people's. Of course, it is to the detriment of his loving nature, of the part of him who wants to love, who needs love. Of course, he's getting married at some point, and maybe he has children, and then the problems start because his wife tells him, why are you so obsessed with your job? Why aren't you ever home? Why did you even get married? And the couple drifts apart, and the little boy feels, I don't understand, who has now become a man, of course, and he doesn't understand, because what he is saying is, okay, I'm doing the best I can, and I deserve to be validated because of my accomplishments, and I don't understand what else they want from me. What do they want from me? I'm doing the best I can, right? And then it's actually the failure of his marriage, which maybe around 40, he understands that maybe this is not the way to go. Because, of course, in his insensitivity, he might be the CEO of an important corporation. He might be dealing with lots of money. He might be dealing with employees, workers who are also treated with insensitivity, because in his hunger to accomplish the grail, which for him is to be recognized, to be validated, to be admired, he has no time, or he has no inclination to be worrying about what is their day-to-day life like. How, you know, are they having satisfaction in their working conditions? It's not my problem. I am here to make money, because money means power, and power means being admired, being on top of everyone, right? So this is just a defense mechanism, what I just described. He found a solution when he was in pain, in not feeling satisfaction in his relationship with his parents. He was very clever to find this solution. But when he grows up, it is only when things go wrong that he can stop and think, maybe there's another part of me that I have left. And many people, of course, do never go back to that time where they took a decision, they made a decision, which is creating, unfortunately, more suffering for him and for others. So sometimes this happens, this healing happens when death comes, at the moment of death or after death. Then, oh my God, I was so busy creating success that I forgot about my loving nature, that I betrayed my loving nature, that I did not care about what my wife was feeling, what my children were feeling, who will then, of course, find their own mechanisms to be seen by their father. Perhaps one of his boys is going to go on the negative, on the dark side, thinking, well, since I cannot have the attention of my father by being good enough, I'm never good enough. Now I'm going to be excellent in being bad, and I'm going to go, become a delinquent, and maybe I'm going to become, be involved in drugs. I'm going to destroy myself, because that is the only power that I have. And this is also a defense mechanism. So what's going on with the defense mechanisms is that they are not compatible with divine law, even though they are a solution. And we should be proud of ourselves for having found this solution, because we needed to survive. It's just that life is all along the way. For instance, for our little boy from the beginning, every time his wife is telling him, I'm so fed up with not being seen by you. We've got this beautiful house. We've got many cars in the garage. We go on, you send us on vacations, beautiful vacations, but you're never there. You don't come with us. This is unpleasant to the little boy. This is unpleasant for him to hear this, right? So he goes, oh, she's just a complaining woman. Maybe I should trade her in for another woman. Maybe one who's a bit younger. Maybe who has breasts that are a little more perky. Maybe somebody who fits better with my status, because she has gone downhill, hasn't she? This woman, right? And then, of course, if I want to look at the same situation from the point of view of the little girl, then maybe this little girl, of course, the woman that he gets married to, what used to be a little girl, and maybe she was never good enough to win the affection of her father. And maybe one of her defense mechanisms was to be as pretty as possible, as good looking as possible, And she's very good at finding the latest fashion and wearing the best designer clothes. And she also feels that he should be looking at her as, sorry, a representative of, by him, who is, of course, the representative of her father. And that is why the love relationship brings most value that is where we feel the most intensely our pain, because it does bring back our childhood pain, right? Now, our childhood hurts. What we are bringing to earth is situated in the area of our life where we were most painfully impacted during our childhood. And our childhood is always available. It's always available. It's always available for consultation purposes. And of course, since there is a child in us who is still suffering, we have a tendency to project our childhood hurts onto our current life, onto our adult life. Why? Because these are the issues that have to be dealt with. The child in us wants someone else to deal with it. So in the case of the woman who says, well, I'm keeping a perfect house for you. I've even given up on my personal career, on my personal professional ascension in order to be at service of your profession. I have been a wonderful mother. I have been a wonderful housekeeper. I am inviting your friends and I'm dazzling them with the beautiful cuisine that I'm cooking for them. And I do not feel that you appreciate my efforts. And this wakes up in her exactly the pain that she had when she was a child herself. So that is how we drift apart. Both of us, the man, the woman, projecting, feeling the childhood pain over and over again, and thus having negative reactions. These negative reactions, the resentment, the spite, the complaint. Now, all these negative emotions go into this huge reservoir, the reservoir of negativity. And this is how these reservoirs are always available. Did you know that it only takes 17 seconds for a thought to attract a thought that is similar in vibration, as another thought that is floating in the universe, being thought by someone else? Only 17 seconds. 34 seconds creates a reaction, like a sort of a spark, an ignition. And if you go for 84 seconds of negative thought, you have a result in your life. Something happens in your material life. Okay, so this is basically lectures 214, 215, the psychic nuclear points, if you want to have another look at those. But thankfully, the same is true positive. If we think positive thoughts for so many, the same amount of seconds, we are also attracting a similar positive thought and creating, after 84 seconds, a positive result in our material life. And it's just the direction of what are we going to look for. Okay, the challenge here is to move from our child consciousness to our divine consciousness. Let me repeat this. But how? How do we do this? How do we accomplish this? So I'm very pleased to have found a way in which we can transform rapidly, with the help of the guide I channel, how we can practically work with these elements in us that need some transformation. So could I have the next image, please, Luigi? So in this image, we have two versions of the same person. what we need to do is work with our inner child, what we could do if you feel so inclined and if you feel attracted to this perspective, right? Give it a try. Of course, here is the adult woman who has a little girl inside of her. Now, of course, there are two versions of the child that is still living within us. We are all aware, I believe, that the child is still alive, and that for every child that has had some kind of trauma, there is a corresponding version for each and every trauma that we have gone through when we were children. So we can access that child. We are actually the only person who can get in touch with that little girl or the little boy who suffered when we were children. But of course, there is another version. Okay. There is also, well, I like to call him Chucky. Do you know this was a horror movie back in was it in the 80s or back even in the 70s? This horrific doll that looked very cute, but that actually wanted blood. Are you aware of Chucky? Is this a valid representation for you? So this is, he looks cute, but oh my God, he's not so cute. What he wants is blood. He wants, he wants what he wants. Okay, so this is the negative version of the child. So can I have the next image, please? Here he is. So here he is wearing a disguise. And of course, here, once again, these are the same people. There's a little boy, but this is the negative little boy who says, somebody should have given me what I needed. It's not fair. And I didn't get it yet, but I will get it. Whatever the cost to you as an adult. I don't give a damn about what you are going through. I am still projecting, I'm still needing, I want it from the outside. Now, when we have Chucky, Chucky basically is the negative version that is in touch with other people. So when there's a child in any of our relationships, it's not the wounded child. So this is not a child that can be healed. This is not a child that can be comforted. This is a negative version. It's like a projection. Basically, Chucky is like a ghost image of the child that really is suffering. And you may feed it as much as you like. Try to feed a ghost. It's not going to fill him up because he's not real. Chucky isn't real, So if you think of it as, imagine that you were not held enough when you were 3 years old, but now you want to be held like a baby. But then basically what you're doing is you're giving this child, maybe in diapers that hasn't been changed, haven't been for a while, you're giving this child to your romantic partner and say, what are you going to do about this? I feel this pain. It's the same pain. I'm feeling it with you. I used to feel it with my daddy. So basically what we're doing is we're giving a bill. We're saying, okay, I didn't receive this or this or this satisfaction from my daddy. So pay. Okay, it's yours to pay. Okay, but then of course our partner has exactly the same feeling. Okay, I should pay this. Okay, well, I myself never got this and this and this quality from my mother. So here is the bill. And so both of us are expecting our life partner to deal with the childhood pain. And of course, it's not working because it's not our partner's business to heal the child. This is our personal task. Of course, it wouldn't help at all, thinking then I have to change partners so many times until I find the right guy who's going to be sensitive to my pain, right? Because if we look at lecture 216, this wouldn't be helpful at all, because we're not coming to Earth to find a person who's going to give us. We came here to bring something, to bring an innovation, to bring something better, a better version of something that was in a state of pain and suffering and negativity when we were children. So, of course, we all start by having these emotions. You know, my partner should understand my pain, right? And sometimes we don't even understand that we're not dealing with that pain. We just expect others to deal with it without changing fundamentally our mind about who we are, without loving ourselves, that little child that still lives within us. Okay, so can I have the next image, please? This is your child. This is your child. This is the wounded child. And it's down there in the basement, living in pain, not expecting anyone. You know, it's just given up. This child is in pain and says, you know, I'm not expecting anyone to take care of me now. I'm just going to feel sad and lonely and isolated and unloved. And it's probably all my fault anyway. So this child has given up, and it's never projected into, it never comes in touch with your adult life. So when there is a child in your adult life, it's Chucky. Chucky is wanting, basically, Chucky's like a big brother saying, you know, look, my little sister, she's there, down there in the basement. Is somebody going to do something about her pain? So he's pulling everyone's sleeves, saying, please, please come and deal with the child's pain. But it is our job to deal with that child's pain. Right, so how does this go? It's making good use when things go wrong. Actually, there's a process I developed to make good use of a dispute, of a conflict, and it's on my website, but I can maybe Letitia will send you this. If I send it to her, then maybe it can be sent out. It's just a list of questions to ask yourself in order to make good use of whenever there is some kind of friction, whenever there is some kind of negativity going on between two people. It can be in a love relationship, it can be in a discussion with your sister or with your boss. Anyway, there's always the possibility of making good use of the pain. Now, of course, we react with a defense mechanism, right? That is where we all start. It's automatic. There is, you know, the emotions run high, and we want to accuse the other person of not being who they should be in order to make us feel good about ourselves. But this is exactly where we can make a better choice. Because the truth is, there is nothing wrong with us. There never was anything wrong with us. We were powerful, total spiritual beings who chose the childhood hurt in order to download whatever it is that we came here to deal with. So each childhood pain is like it's like a focus, it's like a filter that we're going to put on this particular incarnation. And we design this very cleverly when we are our total being. By the way, we still are our total being. There is no separation. But of course, the more we look outside for help, for love, for compassion, for healing, the less we can look inside to understand that we are the ones who already possess this healing. We have the healing. We already have it. It's not that we need it from outside. We are actually the ones bringing it. And how can you know this? You know this because it was painful. And in the meditation that we're going to go on now, we are going to find out where we stand on our heroic journey in our personal lives. What is the specific challenge that we brought into this life by this narrowing? It's the narrow focusing on seeing life through a pair of glasses where there is only space for, am I getting this satisfaction or I am not getting it? And everything that goes with it. This is exactly the area where we can bring something better, where we can bring a higher expression. Because as from the minute that you know that what was missing, for instance, in my childhood was compassion, of course, you wouldn't know it unless you were an expert in compassion. Okay? You know about what it should be like. Otherwise, you wouldn't be feeling the scarcity. You wouldn't be able to pinpoint, to put your finger exactly on what it is that the child was needing. So, my dear friends, the first thing we need to do is to give it to ourselves. We need to lovingly give it, generously give it to the child, which is still living within us, with no questions asked, no conditions. No, I'm only going to give it to you if you do this or if you become that. Just the unconditional love, loving the child, embracing the child, wanting the child to feel safe, certainly not blaming the child, right? Because this is the magical gateway, my dear friends. If you do this, if you give that child whatever it was that it needed, and we'll be doing it together in a few minutes, if you bring this to the child, then you are opening your higher self. You are opening your divine source. You are letting out something that you brought. And it's a double functioning. On the one hand, you are giving the child what it never received, thus altering your past. Because let me remind you that there is no such thing as past, present, future. Everything's happening simultaneously, which means that you can change your past instantly if you so desire. This is good news, right? And so you give the child a different childhood. So this means that your present is going to be a higher expression. This means that your future is going to be a higher expression. And at the same time, you are bringing some element, for instance, in the case of compassion, you are the one bringing the compassion, at the same time receiving the compassion, because you are both the child who is still wounded, who is still scared, living in your depths, in the basement, and never to be seen, never to be reckoned by you. You don't think of this child. You're only feeling the need to obtain from outside of yourself what it is that the child was lacking. So think of it. Remember, you're the expert. You're the hero. You are that child's divine parent, if you so choose. So this is the process. Oh, my poor baby, you missed this and this. No more. You're never going to miss this anymore, because I'm going to give it to you for free today. There is nothing you should be, nothing you should do to deserve my love. That person out there, my husband, He's not your father. I am your divine parent. I'm your divine mother and father at the same time. And you are safe in my embrace. I'm going to love you because you deserve to be loved. And I'm not going to hold back. Then what happens is, once you have opened your higher self, your source energy, the child feels safe in your embrace. You know, when the wounded child is loved, there is no more Chucky, right? Chucky only exists when the child is in pain, when the child is in scarcity. And then we open the benevolent universe. We are then standing at the limit of the universe, you know, life on earth, which is good and bad. And then we bring all our positivity and the divine energy that is truly ours. We're opening it. We're inundating our own inner child. So this is the first level. We have to give it to ourselves. We have to be generous with ourselves. And then at the same time, we are receiving what it is that was never there for us. And this changes our whole life. And from then we have opened our source, and then we can keep on giving it more and more, giving it to others, giving it, knowing that this is truth, that this is a potential, that this exists, that I don't need to calculate anything. It's just a matter of opening the faucet. I'm just going to open my stream of love towards this being who is still suffering within me. I'm opening the faucet, and then love can stream through me. The way I perceive things around me are then going to be totally different. This gaze of love that I put upon myself first can then become the gaze of love I bring to situations, to people, to whatever needs some love, right? And God knows this planet needs love. By the way, Chucky, if you're wondering about what he looks like, it's not so difficult, you know? Because we have now at the head of the most important nation in the world, a real life Chucky, right? So this is the expression. So, of course, we're not going to attack whatever is outside of ourselves. Let's have a look at the Chucky inside of ourselves, the person in us that says, I need to have it, and I need to have it from somewhere outside of myself. This person is going to give it to me, or else. Yeah, real life Chucky. You know, so it's just such a beautiful wake-up call. There's nothing wrong with this world. Everything is going according to plan. And we just reassure our children. We put our children in safety. And nothing untoward is going to happen to us, you know, unless we ourselves are vibrating the need to receive something negative from outside. So where we can deal with this is to look at the part of us that is expecting this and to say to the child, you don't expect anything. I'm just going to give you love. Then, of course, what happens is, since I'm giving it to the child and the child is feeling safe in my embrace, in the fullness of my love towards myself, then, of course, the magic happens. And then I get it from everywhere else. And then all of a sudden, the husband who was refusing to you know, to give me what I wanted because he felt that I was putting a knife on his throat and he resisted my neediness, is then going to willingly give me what he was refusing me. Not because, you know, because we all have a higher self. So whenever we're not obtaining what we need from outside of ourselves, it certainly means that there's a part of us who doesn't believe we deserve it. And this is where you come in. By loving the child, you change your mind about this. You said, no questions asked, no conditions to be met. I'm just going to love you to death, little girl, because you are my origin. The wounded child is, of course, already our higher self. But anyway, this is another subject. So shall we take a short break, like 5 minutes, just to go to the bathroom and perhaps have a glass of water? Is that okay for you? Because I'm going to take you on a little inner voyage right after the break. Shall we start the meditation? There was supposed to be music. My late husband, Emilien, always played the balafon, which is an African xylophone, when I channel. And in this music, there is the presence, the beautiful energy that the guide brings whenever I channel. But with the different channels for the translation, unfortunately, we can't use it. Okay, but okay, just try to find a comfortable position by keeping your back in an upright position. And at the same time, loosen your shoulders. Let us imagine that there are powerful roots that are coming out of your root chakra, going into the ground, are turning every layer of wood or stone, or just imagine that these roots are powerfully crashing through every geological layer, connecting you with the center of the earth. The center of the earth, which is liquid fire fusion. Okay, so this is our source. This is the source energy for our physical incarnation. It's the fire of purification, and we are at any time connected to it. Okay, now let us imagine that from our crown chakra, there's a cup that goes upwards, going into the higher realms. Imagine starry skies or even space. Here, there might be a sensation of coolness, the serenity of the higher realms, a higher perspective. We're connected to both. So imagine that us, human beings, whatever size is ours, we are actually that deep and that high. So let's imagine now that the center of who we are is opening up, fueled by those two energies who meet in the middle at the level of our plexus, solar plexus. And we are growing, 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 filling up with the light that we truly are. So from this perspective of being that high, that deep, that wide, our true size, let us imagine now that here we are at the beginning of our incarnation, rather before our incarnation. Here we are as spirit beings. We have selected our parents, the place we were going to live. We know exactly what we're going to do. We know the parts of us that we are bringing for purification, so that we may be a transparent vessel of light and love more and more, working through whatever is resisting love. So we are ready now to go into this incarnation. So I would like you to imagine that there is a screen descending in front of your eyes. High-tech surround sound, high quality technology. And here you are watching the screen and you are wondering what is going to be shown to me. And actually, I would like you to allow for a childhood memory to be projected onto that screen. Just allow for whatever it is that comes to mind to be the right memory. Here you are in front of the screen and you are seeing on the screen something that happened. So here I would like you to look at the environment that you are in. Are you inside? Do you know that place? Is it a house? Is it a room? What are the elements that you can identify? Maybe there's a smell. Maybe there's some furniture that you recognize. Just take your time in going through whatever it is that is visible, that you can perceive with your inner senses. Look at who is there with you. They're your parents, brother or sister, maybe a friend. Just be open, look curious, you're in no hurry. Here you are, seeing yourself in this image. How old are you? What do you look like? What are you wearing? What are your parents wearing? What is the expression on your face? Do you look happy? Do you look sad? Get a little closer. From this vantage point, you can actually feel the feelings you had at that time. So get closer to you and go back into the body of that little boy or little girl that you were then. Feel his or her feelings. What was the situation? Was there some kind of conflict going on? An exchange? Maybe just an atmosphere. Maybe no words were exchanged. Maybe everything was happening in body language. What were your thoughts? Now I'd like you to open your awareness to whatever it is that your parents were feeling, or the people, the other people who were there in that memory with you. You have the power today to understand what it is that they were feeling. So go and have a look. Was there happiness? Was there fear? Was there disappointment? Whatever it is, allow for it. There was something going on between you and the other people. What was it about? Was there pain? Was there fear? Was there frustration? Was there some conclusion that you made at that time? Something about yourself? Did you make a decision from now on, given this situation, from now on, some resolution? You have the power today to be aware of what it is that you were going through, while at the same time understanding the attitude of the other people, the adults in the same scene. a mental note of what it is that was being felt. See if you have any conclusions that you made, any resignation, any acceptance of a difficult situation. Look at the child. Feel its distress. Perhaps it feels lonely, unloved, unlovable, even worse. Oh, here is the potential is here for you to love that child, to feel its pain and to feel sorry that it had to go through this difficult situation. Today you are full of love, and you can understand what it is that was missing in this situation. A situation of pain, conflict, fear, scarcity. What was the scarcity? What was missing? Let it come from the bottom of your heart. What did this child really need at that time? You were the bringer of that, whatever was missing at that time. You can now decide to give it to the child. You can embrace the child. You can ask it to come close to me. I'm your divine parent, and I am going to make things right for you. I'm going to give to you whatever it is that you are needing. Please imagine that you are giving this to the child. If you feel that this isn't right for you, that you don't want to give it to the child, then that's okay too. Okay, don't force it, right? But if you can have compassion for the pain of the child, then please, by all means, give the child what it needed, what it went without at that time. So embrace the child and take it in your arms. Give it a big hug and kisses. And maybe this is the time you want to make a commitment to the child, and maybe there is an element of surprise. Oh, I didn't know you were still in so much pain. You poor darling. You don't deserve any of this. You are a beautiful expression of divine light. And I'm going to honor you and love you. Perhaps you may visualize that you put the child in your heart where it will be safe. Perhaps you want to make a commitment to go and meet with it on another occasion. But make a commitment and stick with it. Don't forget about this pain. It's still acting in your life, and you are the one bring the solution to this child. You are bringing to earth a beautiful element of consciousness, of divine consciousness, but that was momentarily distorted. And of course, you know that if your parents didn't give you the right version, it's probably because they never received the right version either. But it's right there. The divine potential is pulsating all around us. Divine love permeating every element of consciousness if we will let it, and we can open. Give the child what was missing. So you have now gotten in touch with the child. And maybe you want to say goodbye to it, because we're going to go back to our normal consciousness, our normal state of consciousness. the adults that we are, adults open to the divine, for only the adults can open to their divinity. The children in us cannot. So here is the potential. And now I would like you to wonder, go back to your intellect and wonder, is this element, is this still pulsating in my life today? Is this still missing? Is this pain happening again? Is it still the focus of my life? Do I still feel bad about myself for not having received what it is that I needed? Perhaps there's also an element of defense. Maybe I'm angry or resentful towards someone who's not giving me this divine element that I needed, this divine expression, whether it be love, attention, compassion, forgiveness, whatever it is that you touched upon. Is it still missing? And who is supposed to give it to you in your current life? Who are you hoping to receive it from? Who is awakening the pain again today? So today you can be that person. No more intermediaries. You are going to go straight for the love, straight for the acceptance, straight for the satisfaction of whatever it is that was painful, missing when you were children. You may perhaps wonder if you are giving this to yourself today. If you have the attitude in your daily life of being worthy of this. Because sometimes we forget that we do deserve it. And perhaps we are the most terrible perpetrator of all, being cruel to our own inner child. No more. No more. You are bringers of light and love, not vengeance, not punishment. This is not necessary. Your highest expression is unending, unconditional love. So this may be your next spiritual challenge, to love your inner child from now on, every day. Okay, so little by little we're going to come back to our normal state of consciousness. Perhaps you may want to take a few minutes, not many, just some elements if you want to write down what you experienced. Okay, so we are coming to the end of this presentation, and I would like to end it with a quote. And Luigi, could we go straight to the last image, please? Oh, and actually, there might be time for one or two questions. So if you have a question, you can write it in the chat. So this image, this is how we can, from now on, be the attitude we might have towards our own negativity, towards whatever it is that we're not proud of, that we feel that we should do better, that we're not good enough, or whatever. So let me finish with this quote by one of the, this is just one of the channelings. By the way, the channelings, there's a subscription that's available to the new channelings. And actually, there's also the possibility to participate in live once a month. So with your loving attention, warm the part of you that has remained frozen. When you discover a dysfunction or an erroneous concept in your emotions, do not retreat. On the contrary, tell yourself that you have put a finger on a part of you that has remained frozen and rigid. Now, with all the love that is in your heart, with all the compassion that you can feel towards this part of you that is smaller and less developed than the rest of you, you can give new life to it through your warm breath. Then whatever was cold, rigid, and desperate can awaken once again into your warm embrace. Now, some information about the beautiful conference that is going to happen in Tomar, Portugal. This place is just amazing. It is so pulsating with spiritual energy. And the Templars, because this is, you're going to visit the Templar castle, where you can feel the energy of these warriors, but who were spiritual warriors. Yes, they did fight opponents, but all in the name of being the best version they possibly could. They were trying to go against the impure manifestation where mundane religion had taken over. So perhaps you may want to have a look at what Templars really stood for. We were there with a group in 2016, I believe. Yes. We were on a 3-week tour of Portugal. We have one of these trips every year. And it was just Portugal. Just Portugal is such an amazing country where the energy is that people are looking for the positive and they are giving their best to whatever it is that they are whether it's work, whether it's play, whether it's this really amazed us. And I believe that there was a beautiful message by the guide there. I should look for it and send it to you with the rest of the slides. This is, you really don't want to miss this conference. So many people from all over the world are going to be there. And let me give you some information that Leticia just sent to me. So it's almost there. It's just a few months now, and the energy of the conference is incredible. Every detail we are building is surpassing everything we could have imagined. In the coming days, we will share the full conference schedule, and I can assure you many surprises and extraordinary experiences are on the way. We are about to witness something historic. In the afternoon sessions, a spiritual guidance group composed of senior helpers, Ria van Dijken, Nadia Beck, Sage Walker, and Kathleen Goldberg, will come together in an unprecedented way. They have shared that together they will embody the living lectures for these times. Whether attending online or in person, this will be a unique and transformative experience. The rest of the schedule will be revealed in the coming days. If you get a chance, go there in person. It really is worth it. It's going to be such a transformative experience. Right. What was there question?
Il y a Louis sur Uruguay.
Okay.
18h05. Louis sur Uruguay. Uruguay. Marianne, could you tell me the date of the canalization? The phrase was very touching.
I'm not sure actually, because this is an extract from my deck of cards. I have an oracle cards, but I'm going to look for it and I can find it. Yeah. Tu pourrais noter ça, Fabienne, de vous trouver la date du channeling du petit renard. I'll find that for you. Thanks for asking. Was there another question? I'm reading a question here by Paulette. Yes, I so understand. So the question is, I try to apply all the pathwork ideas during my present lifetime. This creates anxiety for me. No wonder. In one lecture, I read that it takes not hundreds, but thousands of lives to finally reach the light. This gave me relief, but then I began to worry about how far I will succeed at getting in this incarnation. So could I comment on how to equilibrate my desire to reach the light in this incarnation and acceptance that my soul is at a certain point in its healing? And if I could comment on the influence and effect of past lives and the concept of old soul versus young soul. Okay, beautiful question. There's a lot to be said about this. So just make sure that it's not a child that takes this, as some kind of ladder to be climbed. It's while you are here incarnated with your energy, you are also working in other dimensions. All of you isn't here. And this is often what we can find when we dream. Some of our dreams feel so lifelike, and it's because they're more true than what we're going through here on this planet. So the right attitude could be that I just want to bring love to whatever it is that I'm doing. And this does not always mean submitting yourself to negativity, but that's a whole different presentation. So, because this is sometimes what we believe is love, is to be kind, whatever. And sometimes love can be firm and can be putting boundaries. So just don't worry about this. Don't worry about any of it. Just do whatever is in your capability by loving your inner child. And I can assure you that in the red thread of your emotions, you are going to be shown whatever it is that you can bring some relief to. We're not supposed to just be this perfect being, because we each have our specific life task. And the lecture that I just gave is about this, is accepting that we're not supposed to accomplish some great, grand feats. It's much more intimate. It's much more subtle. It's just having a perspective of love towards myself, acceptance towards me, is already bringing so much love into this earth plane. So, and the rest follows, and life is going to put you in situations where you can bring something better. And it's never about anything that creates anxiety or fear of not being good enough. So maybe this is the first thing that you could deal with, is seeing how you believe that maybe you're not good enough, and that this is what transpires in your question. So the influence and effect of past lives. So our lives are not happening consecutively, but they're happening all at the same time. So this is difficult to grasp for a human mind. And that's why the guide, he even mentions it right in this lecture, that we cannot grasp that it's not one after the other, because that feels like it's an endless climb to some kind of ta-da perfection. But this is idealized self-image, and it's idealized self-image is always the ally of our lower self, not of our higher self. So whenever there's you should, it's not the voice of your higher self. Everything is okay, right? Now, the concept of old soul and young soul, I'm sorry, but I believe that this is not something we can use, because, I believe that all of us, we bring into one incarnation. Well, you could call it like if we were some kind of a porte-manteau. Comment on dirait porte-manteau en anglais? Huh? A clothes rack, right? And on our clothes rack, there are lots of little bags. There's coats for winter, there's coats for summer, there's lots of little bags, and some of the bags contain elements of great purity, of great light, and already accomplished love. And some others, well, they have some smelly stuff in them. And our job is just to stick them in the washing machine and accept that this is what we're here for. It's not supposed to be only good. So this concept of being an old soul versus a young soul, we can't understand it, because, as I said, you can only see 3 centimeters. So this is just dangerous, because then we're going to start comparing. Comparison brings competition. Competition is not love, So I wouldn't worry too much about this. That some of the elements in me are clearly old soul, and some elements in me are just pure Chucky, and I can love both. So I hope that answers your question. Was there another one?
Mais il y a quelqu'un qui demandait que tu répètes la question, je crois, par rapport au message du guide, du petit renard, je pense, qui demandait de répéter la question en anglais, parce que tu as seulement dit la réponse.
Yeah, it wasn't a question. It's a quote. So, oh, sorry. So about the little fox, it wasn't an answer to a question. It was just an extract, quote from one of the channelings. But what it's about is how we deal with our negativity. How, do we like what we see? And if we don't, is there something we don't like? How can we deal with this? Instead of thinking, oh my God, I'm so low on the ladder, I can just go, oh, here's a part of me that needs some care. Here's a part of me that needs some loving. So I'm just going to give it all the love, understanding that this is a part of me that needs some attention. Our negativity is made from the same energy as our positivity of our higher expression. There's no source that is creating negativity, right? It's all one source. Everything is divine. This is difficult for us to understand, because we'd like to, we've got Satan on one side and God on the other. Satan is part of divine creation. He's the divider who, by creating pain, allows us to search for more love. So he's an ally. We shouldn't fear the negativity at all. And this is what the guide was asking, is to, treat it with love, so that it can melt. It's frozen. Look at the little, the little fox. It's so, it's shivering, it's frozen, maybe it's even a little aggressive and it wants to bite, but it's only because it's suffering, right? So the parts of us that are negative are basically in pain, and they can only transform with, I'm going to love you anyway, and this is really what the age of Aquarius is bringing us. And it's important to understand that this is the moment. Then this is where we entered the age of Aquarius. We have about 19 years to accomplish this new perspective. the one that the Pathwork has been bringing for so many years. Because now we have Pluto in Aquarius, and it's going to be staying there for about 20 years, 19 actually. So, but of course, what happens, it's not that the age of Aquarius is we're receiving these values of Aquarius, like brotherhood, like equality. No, it's not that way that it happens. It happens by showing us how we are far off from these values. First, we need to see what's wrong, because we are the cleaning team. We are the ones who can do something about it. So this is the beginning, but little by little, this type of thought is going to spread and is going to open. And the world, unfortunately, many people who call themselves light workers think that it's about bringing more light, instead of looking at how they can bring more light by going through their own darkness. And the teachings are eternally valid to make this understood. So great times are awaiting us, even though we might have some worries about what's going on. You know, we are powerful cleaners. We have our suits, we have our masks, we have our, you know, those something to protect our nose from the stench. But we are capable. I have no doubt at all that if we have this type of challenge, it's that we're ready for it. So beautiful. So thanks for that question. Is there, il y a encore quelque chose, Fabienne?
Mais t'as vu, je sais pas, à 18h11, la
18h11.
Yun King Wong.
Okay. Fear of groups, yes. Family was the first group. Yes. So this is a specific, so this is the question. I'm going to repeat your question, June. I have questions that I can't put together. This is the first time I have attended a full session because of fear of groups. Family was the first group I struggled to belong to. It feels like a bit a thing to still be here. I do know I am still alone in my room, probably helps. So no, look at it differently. Look at how there might be a part of you that is expecting to be rejected in a group. So, and this is actually a path on its own. We all start out with wanting to belong, right? So we want to belong and we are afraid that we don't. And this is, of course, what creates the bullying in schools. And this is what we're always rejected, either because we're too fat, too thin, too redhead, too wearing glasses. You know, we look at the differences and we think we want to find this this place where nobody will be able to point their finger at what's wrong with me. But of course, the potential here is there's nothing wrong with me, and I can be proud of whatever it is that I'm bringing, because of course, divinity is diversity. Divinity is many, many, many different manifestations, not just one, you know? So here is the fear of not fitting, not belonging, you know, fitting in. You know, this is something we all know about. The fear of not fitting in a family, feeling that, you know, I don't think many of us here felt, oh yeah, I belong to this family. I think many of us searched the drawers of their parents' cupboards to find out, maybe I was adopted. This is something wrong here. You know, I don't feel welcome here. There must be, you know, this can't be my real parents, right? And then by, you know, the fear of not fitting in, then goes to the need to stand out. And maybe, you know, I could stand out. And then if we actually allow ourselves to stand out by embracing all that we are, but without asking others to embrace it and to validate us, then we can actually go to the level of we stand out, and it is in our highest expression, that we stand out, and then we can find that we actually fit in all along. So as long as you don't feel welcome,
Tu vas parler un peu moins vite.
yes, sorry, I get carried away. I like this subject so much. You know, it's like we want to feel that others allow for us because we feel that we don't deserve. And that's where we vibrate. While if we go to, I am what I am, and I can accept myself totally with an attitude of radical self-love, then I can get to the point where now I feel complete. And when I like myself, and any group around me is also going to like me. It's just a mirror. There's nobody out there. Other people are just a mirror for parts of me, different parts of me that need some care. So you have a beautiful potential there, my dear. I like this. So Victoria was asking, why do we sometimes think that others are in a five-star hotel? It's just because they're not further up the ladder, you know. Actually, you know, very often, well, I've been doing this work a lot of time for a long time. I used to channel for people without even before I met the Pathwork guide. But you know, the beauty was that I could see, you know, I could see somebody coming in, you know, into my cabinet and, you know, sitting down and oh God, this is a very ordinary person, you know, with their bags and their, and then the guide, a guide, personal guides, angels, archangels came through. And then I just saw the beauty of that person and I was blown away. I was blown away. And, you know, I could, the more difficult life circumstances you chose, the higher up on the ladder you are. But it's not a matter of, you know, so it's an easy life is a life of resting, you know. So we don't know, right? So it's never about, you know, this person is getting a better deal. No, that person chose to go on a vacation because maybe they just came from another life where there was, you know, very heavy stuff going on. So let's not compare. Let's just be pleased with where, you know, and of course the gratitude for what is positive in our life is the best way to go straight to receiving more circumstances that we can then be thankful for again. Right. Okay, I think we're...
Et regarde un peu, parce que moi, j'ai pas pu envoyer le lien vers Thinkific, je peux le faire maintenant, mais 18h08, il y a quelqu'un qui demande, mais c'est en portugais, je suis pas sûre de comprendre. Demande les questions que tu canalises, du guide.
Okay, so if you're curious about the lectures, but they're not all on there already yet, right? We start by 10, but you can find them through my website, which is Marianne Hubert, so my full name.com. So if you're curious to have a look, there's lots of free stuff on there anyway that you can have there's a full lecture that you can download as well for free. And otherwise the subscription costs 10 euros per month.
Je vais envoyer le lien.
Donc ça peut juste être le site, oui.
Pas le lien direct?
Oh oui, tu pourrais aussi.
Partager le lien.
Ah ok, ça va alors.
Et donc je vais partager ça, mais comme je voulais pas quitter la diffusoire, je pouvais pas.
Right, yeah, Bruna, that's true. It's going to be very popular pathwork. Okay, I believe, have I answered all the questions? C'est bon, hein? Is that?
Well, thank you, Marianne, so much. I think
You're so welcome. It was such a great pleasure to feel part of this wonderful family where everyone is trying to make this world a better place. I feel so connected to all of you and grateful that we share the love for these.
you gave us a beautiful gift. Someone said it's a beautiful way to go celebrate the International Women's Day. And
yes.
We didn't.
True. You know, thanks for mentioning this because, you know, women, you know, we have it's just that men have the same energy, except they validated another part of themselves, but they also have this feminine energy. It's about preserving what we already have. So it's always a balance with our masculine side of wanting to conquer new territories. But then, of course, we have a tendency to ruin what we already have. And this is the state of the planet today. But we are, with our loving energy, whether we're a man or a woman, we can now embrace this, whatever we have already received, and be thankful for the earth and all she brings us. She's also in a process, Gaia, she's also in a process of purification, and we're all in this together. So yes, so it's the Women's Rights Day, yes, and it's true. We still need some work, but okay, sorry, I need to say this. Sometimes I can see that I am perhaps my worst enemy, for whenever I want to receive something from a male. Of course, now my husband has passed a year and a half ago, and it's now that I'm understanding this, that, I was investing him to be the higher person in our couple, but thus taking away from my potential because I wanted a daddy. And so this is something to think about. How are we our worst enemies sometimes when we decide to not believe in us and we believe in some father figure? This means that we are giving some energy away from us.
Yeah, sure.
So thanks. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you everyone for coming, being here and creating this energy together, this pathwork energy.
And enjoy the conference. I'm wishing you the best of luck with the conference in Portugal.
I'm sure it's gonna be. It is already amazing, the energy that the conference is, that we are building. I feel it. It's amazing already.
It's true. We're
I
the
think
warriors
we
of
never
love.
had this before.
Sorry?
I think we never had this energy before. I think it's the new era of the pathwork that's coming. I really think that.
Absolutely.
I feel that, and this energy is coming, and we're gonna see there together.
So
with
wonderful.
Global community.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Enjoy.